Greetings, Wallapa love. Remember, I told you guys that I'm gonna be going off and talking more about my. Yeah, and this time we're gonna be touching some points as an audio engineer. See? So you notice a lot of studios been building, and I tell the man them and the woman them we are building them studios. So you have to consider where you're building the studio. You know? You have to consider studio is not just a room with some equipment. You know? Studio is not just a room with some instrument and equipment. You know, you have to take a lot of things in consideration when you're building a studio. And as an engineer, you don't have to rely on making albums, making music. You could specialize in building studios, right? So studios are to be carefully designed and placed. You don't see it. You have to consider. You can't make a studio. I'm not say you cannot, but it's not wise. First thing, is not wise to build a studio in a rental, on a rental property. First thing. It's not wise to build a studio near a train track, near a main road, near a road for that matter. Because you have to take in consideration the noise, the disturbance. Yeah? You have to take in consideration what's coming in and what's going out. You have to control. You have to have control of all that. You know? You have to have control. You have to have sound level and dB and decibel. You know? At certain level. You know? Because you have to have is a hear and the perception of the sound. You have, in order to get the formula, to have a formula. See? So you have to take into consideration because sound, a speech, a music, a noise, you have to, you have that you're working with, you know, right? So you have to differentiate, you know, see, through the processing, you know, the digital or analog signal where you process, right? So you have to consider the free wave. You have to control the interfering noise, you know? Yeah. So you have to take into consideration absorption of the sound, you know? You have reflection, you have diffraction, you know? You have refraction, diffusion, reverberation. You see it? So all of those you have to take into consideration. You see it? So when you're designing a studio, you have to have you have to have the measurement in order to get the formula for a studio recording room. It based on certain formula where you're gonna put the length and the width and the height of the area. You're gonna multiply them together or forget a formula, because they are, let's say you have the console. The console is supposed to be at least 5 feet away from the back wall. See? That means, unless the console itself are 5 feet. The width is 5 feet. So at 10 feet right there, so where you're gonna find your chair. See? So you're gonna have the speakers. You're gonna have a set of speaker. You're gonna have close range and long range, where you have the woofers would are in the wall that are 5 feet away from the board. See? And you go place them in the wall and like a pedestal, because you don't want the wall itself, it not to be touching the wall itself. You go have that vibration. You don't want all that. See? So it's best to have them on like a pedestal, firm. So you're gonna have woofers like 215-inch or so, double maybe, or anyways. Yeah, so the speakers in the wall are to consider a far field settings, positioning towards the middle of the console, middle of the end, like almost on the engineer lap, right? And the near field speakers would be on top of the console, right there. Yeah, positioning towards the engineer chest, right there. So yeah, tell you about the near field and the far field settings of the speakers. Yeah, those are some of the consideration when you're building a studio. Some of the things you have to take in mind. See? And there are lots more. So as we go along, we're going to be talking about going into more details of what all this consists of, like for instance, like sound level and decibel. A lot of people know the decibels and so on. So we're gonna go into all of that time to come. All right.